Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the April 20th, 2023 edition of Kukurigo News at 8. I'm Charmaine Kwete, your host for tonight. Our top story tonight is the ranking of Harare among the bottom 10 worst livable cities on the Global Livability Index, as reported by the Economist Intelligence Unit. This ranking reflects a combination of poor administration and the socio-economic crisis, which has led to a decline in infrastructure and basic amenities. Harare, Zimbabwe's capital, has been ranked as the 8th worst city to live in, with a score of 40.9 out of 100. Living conditions remain worst in Damascus, the capital of Syria. Also scraping along the bottom are Tripoli in Libya, Lagos in Nigeria, and Algiers in Algeria, which continue to score low across the 5 categories. Wars, conflicts, and terrorism are the biggest factors weighing down the 10 lowest-ranked cities, of which 7 are from the Middle East and Africa. The opposition, which controls urban local authorities, has blamed the ruling ZANU-PF for undermining its administration of local authorities. However, critics have questioned why the party continues to contest the positions only to claim incapacity. Chiefs Council President Fortune Charumbira, accused of sexually assaulting his married niece, Paida Moyo Mahaya, has threatened to sue her for defamation. This comes despite an audio recording where Charumbira seems to admit to the crime. According to a police report, the 27-year-old Mahaya, a teacher, was indecently assaulted by Charumbira in Harare. Charumbira is not yet arrested, and the case has been transferred to ZRP Harare Central Police Station. In an audio recording captured by Mahaya, Charumbira can be heard aggressively negotiating for a sexual relationship. At one point, Mahaya refers to Charumbira as father, prompting Charumbira to curse, saying "Voetsek," an Afrikaans term meaning get away or get lost, rejecting the deferential treatment. In other news, former ZANU-PF and State Vice President Joyce Mujuru has ruled out any chances of her coming out of retirement to rejoin active politics. Mujuru spoke to the Daily News during this year's independence celebrations in Mount Darwin on Tuesday. CCC legislator Job Sikala and his accomplice Lovemore Maiko have appeared in court on allegations of stoning ZANU-PF supporters who were attending a rally organized by Charamba Malambo in Zengeza 5, Chitongwiza last year. Sikala and Maiko were facing disorderly conduct charges when they appeared before Harare magistrate Mrs. Yukai Dzuda. They were remanded to May 9th for trial after their lawyers indicated that they did not have state papers and needed time to prepare for trial. The Zimbabwe dollar value breached the 1,000 mark against the greenback on the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, RBZ, foreign exchange auction on Tuesday. Market watchers believe that this week's depreciation levels are an indication that the auction platform is resonating with realities on the ground as opposed to holding on to unrealistic valuations. ZANU-PF has started distributing vehicles to candidates who prevailed in the recent primary elections as the governing party steps up preparations for the forthcoming harmonized polls, which they expect to win by a landslide. Politburo member Molly Mpofu said the party has moved a gear up to support candidates by providing them with cars to improve mobility as they seek votes. In a positive development, Zimbabwe expects to harvest 2.3 million tons of the staple maize grain this year, a 58% jump from the previous season, driven by favorable rains. The country also expects to harvest 280,996 tons of drought-resistant grains such as sorghum and millet, a 45% increase on the previous season, as the country seeks to limit the impact of climate change on household food security. In other news, the Law Society of Zimbabwe has suspended Doreen Vundla-Pulu's license and placed her law firm under curatorship pending investigations into allegations of defrauding a client of $26,000. Zimbabwe recorded a 52.3% increase in the number of flights to 50,640 last year, with air transport passenger volume improving to 1.56 million. Government continues crackdown on holiday extra lessons, with several teachers arrested countrywide. Cabinet approves lithium ore policy to foster beneficiation capacity and maximize earnings. Zimbabwe reported as one of the African countries greatly affected by high cases of renal failure. And marvelous Nakamba's Luton Town secures a playoff spot in the Sky Bet Championship, with a chance to secure a spot in the English Premier League. That's all for tonight's Kukurigo News at 8. Thank you for joining us, and have a pleasant evening.